let's hit record. Recording in progress. So services action, it's actually really good. Like, I think it's a good thing that we do when we're learning in person, and we have field trips and things like that. Usually your field trip, we call it MSL, Mission Service Learning. And on your field trip, you will do your service action requirements. So you do preparation for your field trip, and you actually do this while you're on your field trip. So it's having fun, getting your field trip, and doing your service action requirement. However, some of you may know that we're not actually at school this year, and we're probably not going to be able to go on a field trip this academic year. That would be overnight. Grade 8, the last time I went on a field trip, we went to a remote SLHA school, and all of our services action stuff was catered to helping that school. So they needed more books in their libraries. They needed different resources translated. They needed different things like computer help. They needed some things like sports equipment, because they had 3 balls for the whole school and nothing else. So then we've got to give them things for their PE activities and things like that. So we did a lot. We fundraised, things like that, but we don't have that this year. So we have to be more creative as we work from home. So this year, services action, what is it? What do we do? It is an IB requirement, but it is rooted in a principle that Jesus has taught us. So these are my questions for you. What is service? What ways can you serve? Why should you learn and practice service in a Christian school? I want you to take 3 minutes or ish to write your answers or just quick jot these down in your notes. And then I'll just ask random people to share their answers with each one, and then hope for each one. And then hopefully we'll get a good understanding of what we need to do. So quick write down what you think the answers are to these. I'm going to try to find our friends who aren't here yet, Maria and Farrell. If you guys see them in your other classes, remind them that they need to come to Bible, because service action is a requirement for passing grade 8, and they probably want to go on to grade 9. And that's a helicopter. Sounds really close. Interesting. Okay. Jotting it down as fast as you can. I'm not going to be grading you on these. It's just a way for us to start the discussion, start talking. Okay. What is service, Brian? Share with us what you think service is.
It's like working for someone.
It's working for someone. Yeah, that's one way of describing
them.
Oh, sorry, what?
Doing something for them, like serving, like you're doing something for them, but I don't know, for free or like paid sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, that's like when we talk about the service industry, things that people provide to do for you that you either can't do for yourself, or that you don't have time to do, or you don't want to do. So like a service would be laundry. Somebody does your laundry, right? A service industry would be somebody who cooks your meals, like food or massages. That's service, something you can't do yourself, or you choose to not do yourself. Good job, Brian. I like that answer. Raise your hand if you had something similar to that. Yeah. If you're someone who didn't have something similar to that, do you mind sharing yours? Because I think there's more to service as well.
Mr. Chris, can I try?
Yep, please do.
So what I put for my definition of service is putting others before yourself, like military service. like service dogs and Jesus, like he died on the cross for our sins when he didn't deserve it.
Right? Yeah, we didn't deserve it. We don't deserve soldiers to die for us. We don't have the right to have other people die. But service is a choice, a sacrifice in a sense, right? We do something that isn't required of us. Like it's not a need, but we choose to do it for someone else. That's a great way of putting it. So thinking about those two things, what are ways we can serve? What does service look like? I think I'm going to go to Youngju. Youngju, what ways can you serve anyone in the world?
You can provide the things they need or be more supportive. I don't know.
Okay, add to that, Jolie.
Um, donating.
Donating.
Uh,
Like donating what?
for example, if it's for I don't know a school that has like people with like special needs, we can donate. For example, like more books or writing stuff for them.
Yeah, or right, donating if it's special needs like extra, if you're not using your old soccer balls or things like that, and they can use those for sensories, right? Giving something that you have. Sometimes that's money, sometimes that's time, donating your time, sometimes that's your old books that you grew up with that you don't use anymore and you can donate. Yeah, that's one way. O'Neill, what's another way you can serve?
Help other people, like um yeah, like something that we can do to help.
So what's an example? I already knew that.
Donating that, donating like clothes um that we are not using anymore.
So your grandma can't walk. How can you serve
No, 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 no.
her, O'Neill?
Oh, oh, I thought my grandma um prefer like
And we lost O'Neill. O'Neill, you're in class right now.
because I have a grandfather like that, so uh I said him like what is it called there? We deliver him to toilet like that. Oh, not
You do
deliver,
things
but
for him that he can't do for himself, right?
yeah, yeah, like
Right.
that.
Right. So like if she can't walk, you push her wheelchair on a walk. You're serving her by helping her get outside. Maybe getting her things like her food from the table or doing her dishes or cooking for her. Right. Those things are service, things that you can help with that maybe they can't do themselves. Okay. Why should we learn about service in a Christian school? What's the point? Why? Why does it matter, Michelle?
Because in the Bible, Jesus shows an example of serving others. For example, he washes his disciples' feet. Maybe we could also show Jesus' love by serving others too.
Yeah, and Jesus very explicitly tells us, right? Consider other people better than yourself, right? Don't serve with selfish ambition, right? Don't help people so that they give you money, right? Don't help people so you feel better about yourself. Do it because you care for them, right? Sometimes in services action, people think, oh man, what can I do to make it look really good on a college resume? that's the last reason why you should be wanting to serve, because that makes it all about your college resume instead of about helping people. So, yes, it will look good on a college resume, but that's not why you do it. You do it because I got a Bible verse coming here. Jesus has called us to serve, to imitate him. So Jesus came into this world as God, yet personified service as he washed his disciples' feet. Like Michelle said, he served the destitute and the healed sinners, people who didn't deserve it, people who had no hope otherwise. Jesus didn't heal or help others for a show or popularity. Instead, he wanted those he healed to go assured that they were forgiven of their sins and to tell of what God had done for them. You help people because of what God has done for you. He has given you more than you could ever ask or imagine for, right? Look at your lives. They're awesome, right? That's a gift. God has given you strong minds. You can work with your hands. You can be creative. You can do all these things. That's a gift God has given you. And he says he doesn't give it so that you would grow in popularity, but that you can do these things so that other people would know the goodness of God. Okay? Following this, we always look to Jesus as our examples. And in Galatians 5, verse 13, it says, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge in the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. We do this not, we don't have blessings to make our lives better and to get the most for us. Jesus says, I've given you this freedom from sin to humbly love other people, because it's not you who forgave you of your sins, right? Jesus died on the cross. He did the greatest work you could ever do. And that is one of the reasons why we serve. We also do service as action because it's in your IB blood. Okay, the IB, one of the core things right here is community projects, service as action, personal projects. It's all in there. And it's getting to the heart of what makes a good learner, somebody who learns well, but also has a heart for for greater good, for the people that God has put into their lives. So the purpose of service as action at our school here is to nurture you to become knowledgeable of needs and to care for other people in an active way. So it's not just for you to know that there's problems in the world, but we want to be able to train you while you're still in school to see problems, know them, and find ways to actively work to fix them, to make them better, so that when you aren't in school anymore and somebody isn't telling you in class how to do it, you see a problem in your community or there's some need that needs to be taken care of, and you already have the skills to be like, I know how to serve. I can see that there's a need. I know I can help. And you do, because this isn't about making you a good grade 8 student. This isn't about getting you through to grade 9. Everything we do in Bible class and in health class is all about getting you ready for when you're no longer in our school. When you leave, what kind of a person are you going to be? Right? Because the foundation of who you are goes well beyond grade 12, right? And that's what we're all about. And so we want to motivate you to bring restoration to a broken world as Christ's hands and feet. Jesus was all about restoring God's creation back. That's why he healed. That's why he died on the cross, was to restore us to favor with God. And so now that's what we do with all things in our relationships with our mom and dads, with other people. We work to restore things that are broken. And that's what service is all about. Somebody might be sick. That's brokenness in this world. How do we help? How do we start making this align more with Christ? So I want you to think about a problem in the world. Right now, just jot down problems in the world. What can you think of? Things that are going on that seem like they're broken. This is something that is just terrible. I know COVID is going on right now, but maybe look at the effects of COVID. There might be things like poverty. There might be things like war. There might be things like drug use, abuse. Those kinds of things would be problems in the world. Write down as many of those as you can think of. I'll give you 45 seconds. All right. Now that you guys have problems, think of it. What is a solution to one of these problems? What are things that are solutions to drug abuse, um, uh, violence, um, poverty, high unemployment, things like that? What are solutions? How are ways that this problem can be helped, resolved, stopped, reverted, so the effects of it can go away? I think of things like there's like COVID, right? How can we help resolve this problem, but then also help bring people back, restore what has been broken from it? Think about that. How do you solve problems? Those kinds of things. Sometimes it's not obvious. Sometimes people, the ideas we already have of how to solve a problem aren't the best way. Newsflash, we're doing it poorly, right? And the advice you get online might be doing it poorly as well. Because oftentimes, and I know you guys mentioned money, right? Donations, make donations as service. We give money, we give our stuff, things like that. Sometimes that is a good solution, but most of the times, money, which is also known as the root of all evil, isn't the best solution. Sometimes it takes some skin in the game, people to help, ideas, teaching, right? If a country like Indonesia has a low literacy rate, meaning not very many people can read, right? By giving more money, does that help somebody read, or does starting a tutoring class or offering reading classes at the library to help other people learn how to read, or if people don't know how to keep clean during or cleanliness during COVID, maybe making a video to teach people how to wash their hands or to keep COVID from spreading would do more than just giving money, right? Maybe there's poverty, right? And people don't know how to use the resources around them to sell them. Instead of giving them money that will feed them for 2 days, maybe you teach them to fish, teach them to build or sell or do business or things like that, so that your help doesn't help them for a couple of days, but it helps train and lead to a transformed life. And so that's what we're looking at. In fact, there's 4 different ways to serve. Okay, service looks like 4 things. You might want to write these down. Okay, there's direct. That means you and the person, you're tutoring that person. Okay, you're sitting down, you're teaching them English, you're teaching them math, you're teaching them how to wash their hands, those kinds of things. There's indirect ways where maybe there's 3 people in the class who are doing the tutoring, but you are creating the materials for their classes, their tutoring classes or their math sessions, and you're making the worksheets. You're helping those people, but you're not in the room with them. That's service. Another service I think of is like the people who are suffering from COVID or cancer or medical things is research, experimenting, figuring out how do we solve this problem. You're not giving the needles, you're not in the hospitals, you're not talking to the doctors, you're finding out possible ways to help these people that have never been explored before. And then other ways could be through advocacy, right? People who don't have a voice of their own, right? I think of a lot of people in Afghanistan right now. Their government in China, North Korea, these other places, they've had their voices cut off by the government. Serving them might be raising up awareness that they are being hauled off into slavery, that they are being locked up in camps. They are being killed for freedoms that we enjoy now, or for having certain religions or things like that. Or it can be, we really need to wash our hands before we go into class, right? Posters, things like that. We really need to help this community or something like that. And you raise a voice. You're their voice when they don't have one. That is service as well. So there's 4 types of services. With our IB learning this year, and we'll explore this more, there are 7 outcomes that we want. Every single year, you focus on different ones. So in grade 6, you focused on certain ones. In grade 7, you focused on certain ones. And now in grade 8, you're going to focus on different ones. So this is number 1, is become more aware of your strengths and areas of growth. So you learn through service of what you're good at and how you need to grow. Another thing that we do when we're learning about service is we learn about how to undertake challenges and develop skills. How do we see it and figure out, this is what I need to solve it? Discussing, evaluating, and planning. How do you guys lead your own groups and lead this service? And then how do you persevere in action? How do you not quit when it gets hard? Then working collaboratively with others. How do you work well with other people? Develop international mindedness through global engagement, multilingualism, and intercultural understanding. And then understanding ethical implications of your actions. Is it always good to tell somebody they're wrong? Or is it always good to give money? What are the ethical implications of your actions? That's more of grade 10. So every single year, we focus on different things. In grade 6, you focused on family-related issues. And those were to make you more aware of your own strengths. In grade 7, you focused on community-related issues, right? This helped you work collaboratively with other people. For this year, in grade 8, you can see it right here. Our goals, and you need to write this in your notes, is school and education in general. Our focus for services action this year is schools and education. How can we serve there? So oftentimes this is tutoring. Oftentimes this is coming up with resources, translations, all sorts of things. And then the goals or the outcomes that we have for this is you're going to develop plans. You're going to initiate student activities. This is you planning and persevering as you do it, because this is going to be mostly you planning and doing these things on your own. And then obviously you can see what the grade 10s and grade 9s do, but this is your goal. So make sure you write down everything for grade 8. I know we're going to run out of time on our Zoom call soon, but I think we'll be able to get there before you know it. So as you have this down, I'm going to post this video to my YouTube channel after class. So if you have more questions or you're like, oh man, I missed a part of this, Mr. Chris, hope is not lost. You can always come back and watch this video. There is a framework for how we do this, and there will be forms that you fill in. They're new this year and last year. They're much more simple, but it'll just help you go through what I'm explaining in here. So there's an investigation, figuring out what is actually out there, what skills do you have, how do you plan and prepare for it, how do you take action, and then reflection and demonstration. Throughout this process, you're going to be taking a video documentation of yourself doing this project. Everything that you do, you're just going to videotape yourself and take pictures of what you're doing, because at the end, you need to submit a short documentary of what you did for your services action. Okay, from planning, preparing, actually doing the service action, and then your reflection. So everything that you put into your forms, everything that you do, it's going to come to me through a documentary that you make. There are service action forms. We will talk about these. I'll walk you through them the next time we talk about services action, but these forms guide you through the process of the service action, give you prompts. What do you need to do? You submit these to ManageBack. There is a video in the description of this. All the forms are also in the ManageBack task that I created, but you will create an SA activity in ManageBack where you'll submit those because they get collected through all of your MYP years. And then this helps you stay accountable and helps you go deeper into finding the community needs and serving those around you. So what is required of you today? Before class tomorrow, given our scope, our focus on education in general, what are you good at? Start brainstorming ideas based off of school and education in general. Decide what types of service you're comfortable with, whether that's direct, indirect, research, or advocacy. Come up with a plan that you want to do. In our next class, you're going to share those with me privately, and I'll find people who have the same vision, the same ideas, and I'll put you into groups of 2 or 3 or 1. If you're the only person who has this vision, then you get to do it on your own. But if there's some people who have a similar vision, yet one wants to do the research and one wants to do the direct portion, put you together and you work together as a group. It is not create your own groups. I'm sorry about that, but it is find something that you know you want to do and do it. And then after that, you'll get approval and you'll begin your proposal. You'll begin your action research and your forms. And then before you know it, it'll be Christmas time and this will all be over. That is what's required of you. Tips for starting is looking at what's broken in education and school systems and how can you help. Once you've looked at that, start to go through the process of, I wonder what's wrong. What's really at the heart of it, and imagine a solution, and then start dreaming of how you're going to put that solution into a plan, and then create redemptive action towards restoration. That's what it's all about. Nixon is just coming back. Great. Okay. And then the very last thing I want to leave you with before the Zoom call ends is this. By this we know love, that he laid down his life for us, and we